fun today. Seeing all the people that came out, seeing all the prize support, seeing all the people, the player support. So looking forward to keeping it going.
Oh, for sure. In November? Yeah, I'll definitely be back at the one in November. My friend Chet won the raffle, so that was cool.
I just won that raffle for $1,000, and this is going to help out a lot.
All right.
We're here. It's
Top
time.
8.
Big time. The sweats are over. New sweats begin. The
Looks
Pro
like we got
Support TCG weekend.
It's almost at the end. It's almost at the end.
20K modern tournament is quite awesome that we can still do these.
All the marbles.
We have our first and 8th seed match that we're going to be featuring here. So we're going to go ahead and head down to the feature match so we can cover this. What I think is a pretty exciting matchup. There's going to be 2 wildly different strategies. We have a sort of low to the ground, tempo aggressive deck in blue-red being played by Mac, and Bring to Light Scapeshift being played by OZ.
Yeah, and we just had Mac on our last feature match, and he pulled it out with the sweet Blood Moon tech. Looks like that'll work in this matchup as well, so it'll be interesting to see if that's enough juice for him to get over the finish line, or, you know, if the toolbox of Bring to Light can just get around whatever he needs to, really.
Yeah, I'm checking out this Bring to Light list here, and it is looking like he's rocking 4 Prismatic Ending, which will be very efficient answers to these low threats, but it will not be a good answer to Murktide region.
Well, it looks like we start off with a Dragon Rage Channeler. That's going to be really good for Mac. He's going to be able to filter his cards and get some early pressure on the Bring to Light deck. He shocked in his Steam Vents, so it looks like that just sets him up right in prime range for that 6 land Scapeshift. So both players are kind of where they want to be. Turn 1, we're going to see what OZ does. Probably, I'm going to guess some sort of nothing or ramp.
Well, here's some interesting things to keep in mind about our Scapeshift player. He has 4 Dryad of the Assylian Grove, so he will be able to go off on 6 with that in play, and it'll be way more than 18 damage. Now, right now, since he shocked it down to 18, since Max shocked to 18, he could die without the Dryad at 7 lands, 6 mountains. So that's something to keep in mind as far as this game is developing. I think he just kind of recognizes that. I'm not 100%, his awareness of what could happen there. But at this point, 4 Dryads are both going to accelerate him and help him fix his colors.
All right, Mac with the Mishra's Bauble, trying to set some up. He's trying to decide how valuable Lightning Bolt really is in this, and it's not really that great. So he's right to go ahead and discard that with the Delirium.
So I've been checking it out here, and it looks like the answers to Murktide Regent could be Teferi Time Reveler, Valky, God of Lies, which would really be the Cosmic Imposter side,
right?
Or Supreme Verdict. So these are the real answers to it. But with Bring to Light, that's many copies.
Now, there's a concept in Magic called Who's the Beatdown? That's where if you are a deck that is not hard controller aggro, you have to figure out what your role is in a matchup. Here, Mac is clearly identified. He's the beatdown. He's the aggressive deck. So he's trying to fill his graveyard, get that Dragon Rage Channeler to a 3/3 so he can start ending the game a little bit faster. You don't want to give this Bring to Light deck a lot of time to set up its different wins.
Yeah, the blue-red deck's pretty much always going to be the beatdown in all of its matchups against this kind of strategy, but I think it's going to try to prioritize its counterspells to stop either Teferi or the Scapeshift, because those are the big hitters. Most of the other spells are facilitators or defensive. And honestly, if I had to pick a favorite, I'm probably going to pick Mac. I mean, he's on the play. He's the aggressive deck. And when we look at what's already happened, he's already got his attacker on the battlefield. He's cast a lot of spells, filling his graveyard up for an early Murktide. This is kind of reminding me of Gurmag Angler, right? You can get turn 2, turn 3 Gurmag Angler and just beat him down really fast, but Murktide's way faster clock than Gurmag Angler.
Well, you gotta be careful though. You don't want to overextend into a board wipe or anything like that. All right, looks like OZ's going for a turn 2 play here. Gonna be an Explore.
Yeah, finally getting some ramp going on. Like, it's weird because we were only in the first 2 turns of the game, but it felt like Mac was just doing so many things, and then his opponent was just like, land, go.
All right, so we got a Triumph from OZ, and then we've got Mac drawing, looking at his options.
It's the Surveil. That's really what it is.
Yeah, the Surveil's going to do work. At least getting those cards that are just not that great in the matchup out of the way. That way you can get closer to that Murktide Regent, closer to finishing the game. All right, we got a Bobble. He's going to use it on himself. Surveil.
Yeah, he's resolving the Surveil trigger. I don't know if he's going to use Bobble on himself or not. I'm going to guess probably not, because he has all these Surveil triggers. You don't really need to do the quasi-scry when you get a superior scry.
That is definitely true. Just filtering, getting cards in your hand.
Let me see. I saw a Murktide there. We're going to see Big Boy come down. That's going to be a fast clock.
Yeah, he's probably going to attack, get the free damage in. That's how I would think it. Just because you don't want to give up the chance, because if you lose the Delirium off the dome, you don't want to lose the chance to get better damage in. You're the aggressive deck. You've got to press your advantage right now.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So the clock isn't super fast yet. If you can get the Murktide down, which I'm almost certain he's going to do, if the Scapeshift player can set up a Supreme Verdict and get him like down to 2 cards, I think he can pull back and win. But being on the draw is a big deal. Like, it's going to make a big difference. It might be the difference in this game.
I don't know. I actually think the Bring to Light deck should be favored here just because it has so many tools. But we've seen the aggressive start here from Mac. That's really going to change things.
I would like to think so too. If he can get to like turn 5, I'll feel like in good position here.
All right, Mac attacks with the Dragon Rage Chandler. Like I said, getting that 3 damage in because he's probably going to lose his Delirium here when he plays this Murktide Regent. And he chooses to pass. Oh, so he's slow rolling.
He might have some counter spells. He's definitely scared of Teferi. I think Teferi can be hard to deal with, and he has one in his hand too.
All right, here we go. We're running out the Teferi most likely. Yep, Teferi.
Now, do you big brain and save it for Murktide, or do you bounce the Chandler now?
Oh, I think you save it because even if he swings into it, you plus it, go to 2, but it's not going to matter.
Yes,
he's got that
holding up that
charm.
Archmage charm.
Gets that Surveil off,
and that's going to get countered. There's no way to answer this right now. Force Negation only works on your opponent's turn.
I wonder if Ozzy was thinking that ahead of time, and he's got like a better plan, and he knew he was going to counter this Teferi, and he's trying to set something else up.
Oh, he's got a Brazen Borrower too. He's got a lot of answers. Now, Brazen Borrower is not going to be very good against Valakut, but it can be good as an attacker. Just get the game over with faster.
Definitely.
Our players being tied at 16 here, it's going to start pulling in the favor of Mac as he turns those creatures sideways.
That's what you want to do in this matchup for sure. We got a sleight of hand with the Surveil. That's almost a Ponder. Almost. Really thinking hard. He's going in the tank. I mean, he's clearly attacking.
It seems to be mostly about, do I want to play this Murktide now or do I want to wait? He doesn't have any counters. I'm not sure. I could see an argument for both. No, he decides to dash.
Ragavan.
I can see that. It accelerates you too.
Speeds the clock up.
But we're about to be on Bring to Light mana. Oh no, that's the one Supreme Verdict.
When you were going to top deck the answer you needed and they just take it with piracy. That is rude. That is neither kind nor courteous.
I'm trying to understand the flavor of stealing a sorcery. Like, if you go and you pull a thought out of their mind
I mean, in a way.
Ragavan's dash is good against board wipes too. That's another thing. Got to respect the dash. The funny thing about Ragavan is, like, if it didn't have dash, it would still be really good. But Dryad is an excellent blocker here. 4 toughness. The fact that Dryad is Prismatic Omen and Explore on a 2/4 body, I mean, how much more can you ask for?
Well, so the interesting thing here, I don't think we can see Ozzy's hand very well. If he just has the raw Scapeshift, I mean, he's 2 turns. I don't know.
He's a little short on mana. He didn't get a land drop there. He needs 6 lands to make Scapeshift work.
Yeah, he's got 4, so he's got 2 turns. Got this expressive iteration from Mac, trying to find more juice. Because what I'm seeing here is that even if he keeps dashing, or even if he lands a Murktide Regent here, I don't know that he kills him in one more swing. So that means if he goes land, Scapeshift, game over.
So here's something I like. So OZ is at 11. If he untaps attacks go, he can nothing important happens. He can instead bring in the Brazen Borrower, or he can petty theft and bring it in if he has the untap mana, and then he can untap dash the Ragavan and attack for 8. It's still not quite lethal. He might need like a bolt or something.
Attacking for 3, just getting in there.
So what's interesting is he obviously could have blocked, but I don't think he wants to risk losing this Dryad because he's seeing, I need the speed to win this game. I need the fast Valakut.
Pretty sure he gets flying at Delirium.
Oh, he does have flying. That is right. That is right.
Anyway.
So, and he has to attack too, right? So that's not really much of a thought process there. Delirium is online.
Engineered explosives for 2.
It looks like for 0. I think he's just doing it to surveil.
That could be an option as well.
I don't know. He's not moving any dice.
So probably what we're going to see, unless we see a Murktide Regent, he's probably going to attack with the Dragon Rage Chandler next turn, gets him to 5, and then the next turn he dashes back in Ragavan, and that's the lethal attack. Yeah. Because you don't want to like overextend your swings when you have sort of a guaranteed 3-turn clock. If it doesn't speed the clock up, don't spend the mana, don't waste the tempo. But he does have counter spell mana up, so this is going to be interesting here.
Not having that Supreme Bird is kind of annoying, but he only has the 1
5
creature
mana,
right.
Bring Delight.
Let's see, he could get Valky here. He could get Omnath. Omnath seems good. If he has a land drop, he can gain some life, make some mana.
And you see Mac thinking about this. This is really the power of that card, is because they have to think about what are you going to get. Do I want to waste a counterspell?
So really, his options, realistically, are Omnath and Valky. I don't really see anything else he could get here that would impact the board. You can't get Planeswalkers. I'm going to say, Omnath, definitely.
Omnath, the big elemental.
I don't know if he has a land in his hand, but if he doesn't, he gets a draw off Omnath to try to find it. And if he finds that land, gain 4 life. That'll cushion him since he's at 7 right now. Oh, he did. He found a fetch land. That's perfect. That's exactly what he needed. So now he's going to get 2 Omnath triggers if he wants it to get mana this turn, or he can wait till next turn and get another 4 life. So that puts him up to 11. So he's going to go ahead and use it. He must want this mana for something. And if that something is another Bring to Light, I think that's going to be the end of this game.
Definitely. Unless he counters it.
Well, he didn't exile or discard the 1 Scapeshift, I don't think. So he should still be good to do that.
Okay, fetch on the stack. He goes ahead and bounces the Omnath.
Oh, yeah, the Brazen Borrower that's been hiding out in his hand. He's going to use the Petty Theft. And that will, if resolved, stop the ability, stop him from having access to the ability because it'll remove the Omnath before the land enters the battlefield. That's why, being able to resolve the fetches is important.
Honestly, gaining that 4 life, though, is going to go a long way.
I mean, I want to say so, but at this point, that was the difference between dying. And I think you saw that. He's like, oh, you're at 6 mana and you're about to make 5 mana? No, thank you.
Right. All right, so he gets that Breeding Pool into play tapped. So next turn, Scapeshift is lethal.
Yeah.
And Ozzy's sitting at a cool 10 life.
Pretty sure those Surveils are going to be digging for the counterspells.
Yeah. But you see how quickly this can change with a card like Omnath from Bring to Light? I mean, it's just so much free value. Expressive iteration. So he's looking for a counterspell.
He's got Ragavan and 2 of the red cards. I can't really tell.
You gotta love it when you're kind of a control player and the aggressive player is like trying to dig and you're just sitting there tapped out because you're now the aggressive player. This is where that dynamic has changed. It's kind of shifted because now Mac has to have the answers because he knows that Ozzy's threatening to end the game next turn.
Yeah, he's found the counterspell. The problem is
he's revealed it.
Yeah, but it matters. So I'm looking at the Bring to Light players. I don't see any main board counterspells. So counterspells if you don't have it to variant play, will answer what you're doing.
Yeah, see, I almost reminisce about the old days when they actually played the commands. That way they could have some good counter spells main board. But
yeah, man, 4-mana counter spells, you don't see those much anymore. I mean, Cryptic Command does still see some play, but not the powerhouse it used to be.
All right, Ozzy's sitting in a weird situation. He knows his opponent has an answer to whatever he's going to play.
Well, actually, I don't think Express Federation lets you play it through the end of the next turn, so I wonder what that implies. If he did,
he's
put it in
going
his
for
hand.
it. He's got 1 mana up.
If he chose not to put Counterspell in his hand, he must have a second one, right? Yes,
Yeah.
he does. Okay. So that will stop it. There are no answers in the main board for this Spring Delight player.
All right, we're in a sticky situation now again. You're kind of just throwing your spells at your opponent, hoping they blink and run out of answers.
That pesky 7 life that OZ is at means it's a 3-turn clock.
Well, unless he's got a Lightning Bolt. He can dash in Ragavan and Lightning Bolt if his opponent doesn't block. But
He's probably going to block. If it's life or death, he's going to block.
and he's at that 7 lands now, so he doesn't actually need the Dryad.
Yeah, he does not.
All right, going to 4. Does Mac have another counterspell?
I think it's Murktide Regent and double Ragavan. That Murktide Regent just been kind of sitting there, but this will close the turn. Yes, he shouldn't play now. So he's just going to... I don't think he has any counters in his hand, so he's just finger crossing. Please let me untap.
Yeah, it's never a good situation to be in.
But I'm not certain that he has another Bring to Light.
Well, he might not need it. He might just be able to hard cast something.
You know what would have been good? It wasn't worth the risk because I don't think he knows his list. But if he would have let him get the Scapeshift and counter that, he would have been out of gas. There would have been nothing left. So, interesting choice, but sometimes something like Supreme Verdict comes down or something that maybe the counter wouldn't have been good against, and it wasn't worth the risk. So I don't blame him for... I understand countering Bring to Light, but I'm already trained to see what they get first. Sometimes it's burnt me, sometimes it was good. He also doesn't know for sure he's only playing the one Scapeshift.
That is true. This is not open builds top 8 like you would normally expect. So Mac isn't 100% sure if there's another Scapeshift coming at him or not. You got an 8/8 Murktide. That's a big boy. Was he looking over the graveyard, trying to see, okay, what are the chances he draws Lightning Bolt here? What are my outs? What can I do? Another Murktide Regent.
Seems like that's a
little bit overkill, yeah.
But I think he's thinking right now, well, I can't be a Scapeshift, but I still could lose to removal. So if I have 2 big game-ending threats, it kind of makes him have one or the other.
On the flip side, though, it puts him in sort of an overextended position, whereas if he does have... This is almost telegraphing, I don't have a counterspell.
Because it's tapping out too, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Force of Negation's a card. I don't think I see it here in Mac's main board. But at the same time, you're basically telling him, look, here are my big flyers. What I'm going to do is try to make sure you die next turn, unless you can answer all of this. But if there is some sort of board wipe, then he's in a bad spot.
Yeah, he did. He saw that he lost a Supreme Verdict, but he doesn't know for sure it's the only one. Okay, what do we have?
Plenty of lands. He's got all the mana he needs. No Blood Moon or anything. Blood Moon is probably coming in for Mac in Game 2. That was his strategy to beat Death Shadow a round ago. Wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get Omnath.
Okay, that is a redraw.
It's a redraw.
Oh, is that it?
We know he's got a land.
I see Renin 6. That's not very good here. The life gain off of Omnath isn't very relevant here. OZ is at 4 life. So even if he goes to 8, that's not going to cushion him from those big Murktides. And he didn't have it. Game number 1 is going to go to Mac. Blue-Red takes it again. It is considered the best deck for a reason.
Yep, when you can throw a bunch of big flyers on the board, that's what happens.
So let's go ahead and go back here to the booth. We'll take a look at their sideboards and see what would be a good idea for them. So for our Valakut player, we have 1 Anger of the Gods, 3 Chalice of the Void, 1 Crumble to Dust, 2 Endurance, 2 Force of Vigor, 3 Mystical Dispute, 2 Sunset Revelry, and 1 Unmoored Ego. For Blue-red, we've got 1 Hercules Recall, 1 Prismari Command, 2 Engineered Explosives, 2 Force of Negation, 2 Flusterstorm, 2 Blood Moon, 2 Jace the Mind Sculptor, 1 Torpor Orb, and 2 Mystical Dispute.
You know, I almost think as the blue-red player, you're going to want to bring in your counter magic and Blood Moon, because obviously Blood Moon is pretty good against a deck that relies on having all those colors and all those different land types. And that way you can just, especially the Force Negation, you can just tap out, put all your stuff on the board, and have that counter spell for that one key spell that you're going to play on the next turn.
He has 6 counter spells to bring in, so that's going to make a big difference. And Blood Moon, 4-color deck, seems pretty straightforward.
Yeah, sometimes though you don't want to over sideboard. He may not bring in all of those. I think Mystical Dispute and Force Negation are pretty good. Flusterstorm, not as good, because as you're seeing, he just kind of plays one big thing a turn.
Yeah.
So I'm not so sure Flusterstorm is going to be that great on a deck that ramps to 8 lands a lot of the time.
There's not a good answer to Flusterstorm, though. I mean, if you don't have to carry, you can't really counter Flusterstorm back. Yeah, like it's pretty good. So if I'm Bring the Light, honestly, there's not a whole lot here. I guess the 3 Mystical Dispute.
I don't feel like counterspell is what you want to be doing right now in this matchup.
Yeah.
I feel like you want to be.
The fact that being able to spend 1 mana to stop a Murktide region is pretty nice. But other than that, yeah, it seems kind of they're playing 1-drops.
Yeah.
So that's tough. Maybe a better thing to look at is what is bad. Fire Ice is okay if you can do it on turn 2. Yeah. But other than that, I'm not. Most of the core of the deck is strong. Like, you can't really cut your ramp. You can't cut Supreme Verdict or
the little guys are kind of a problem. Really, the only thing that ends the game, as we were seeing, is the Murktide Regent. So what answers does he have in his Murktide, 2 Murktide Regent in his deck there?
Well, if you want to answer it after it's already on the battlefield, there's not much. I mean, you've got Teferi and Supreme Verdict.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that plays out. Honestly, I would like to say I think Bring the Light's favored because he was real close to winning that game many times over, and he was on the draw.
Yeah.
So if he has a good draw, I'd like to think he's favored. But I mean, Blue Red's up a game. It just has the way to pull a win out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So
has a lot of answers to combine with his clock. Those tempo. Tempo is always been a really strong type of deck. I mean, you look at Legacy with the Delver. You look Vintage has a Delver deck that's really good.
Delver's been like the best deck forever.
Yeah, I mean, Modern just has, Ragavans and, Murktide Regions. It's the same thing. You're putting a lot of clock out there. You're backing it up with a lot of answers that are dynamic and flexible. So it's going to be interesting to see. I really think Bring to Light matchup-wise is favored here. And you did see, like Aaron was saying, you did see a lot of options where he was just, like, right there to win. And the red-blue player had to have all those answers when he had them to, capitalize on that. So
I think he navigated his choices really well. There's a few times he did a few things. I'm like, it's complicated, but I saw where he was going and how it kind of worked out. It did involve one lucky turn. He had to please don't have it. That's just the way it is with a deck like Scapeshift or any deck that goes over the top.
You got to remember also that one of Supreme Verdict off the top, that would have changed that game completely. So that's where the luck comes in. Sometimes you get them, sometimes you get got.
Part of the game, though, right?
Yeah, I mean it is, but it's always unfortunate when you lose a game you probably should win because they just got that one lucky draw or they hit one lucky card off your deck. This is maybe why you don't play one-ofs. I mean, I know you have those tutors, but
except for that last turn where you had double Murktide, I don't think Supreme Verdict was like super great at any point in the game anyway. It was always like one guy. It's just the Dragon's Rage channeler.
Yeah.
So it's weird how that kind of folded out. But looks like they are starting to resolve the roll again. So we'll head back down to the booth and see what sideboard cards they chose to put in because that could make the difference in this game.
Looks like there's some
one well-timed sideboard card like a Blood Moon at the right time could just end the game.
Okay, Ozzy is going down to 6.
Yeah, I didn't like what he saw there. You're probably looking for acceleration. You're on the play. You want to capitalize on it. You want to find your explorers. You want to find your dryad.
Yeah. Another little interesting thing to deal with the Murktide Regent would be Graveyard Hate. Is there like a Relic of Progenitus in there?
He has 2 endurance. So endurance is good because you can just cast it, and he's got a good body. He can block. He's got 4 toughness. You can surprise him and be like, "Hey, that's a Dragon's Sword channel. I have reach." Dead.
Looks like Ozzy brought in a Chalice of the Void. Chalice on 1 is going to be a problem.
So let's
Chalice
see. Chalice
on 2
1
is going to be a big problem.
Let's see. Chalice on 1 stops Ragavan, Dragon's Rage Channeler, Thought Scour, Sleight of Hand, Spell Pierce, Unholy Heat, Lightning Bolt. I have a feeling Lightning Bolt might have come out though.
Yeah, I feel like you take it out in this matchup too.
But if you took out Lightning Bolt to bring in Flusterstorm, that's a good answer to Flusterstorm.
It is, yeah.
I wonder if that's like super Galaxy Cluster Brain.
Well, he's got one chance to Flusterstorm that Chalice, and that's when he plays it.
No. You don't Flusterstorm the Chalice. You can't do that. If Chalice is on 1, it counters Flusterstorm.
Yeah.
So Flusterstorm is being played by...
All right, so we got Breeding Pool tapped into a Shocked Steam Vents, but nothing. So he must be holding that up for Thought Scour.
It's Flusterstorm.
Yeah, that or Flusterstorm.
I'm calling it now.
He
does have Spell Pierce, so
is he just aware of the Chalice? There's a Chalice.
Oh, this is going to be Spell Pierce. Oh my gosh, it is so good. Dude, he is at like the Lani Akea Super Cluster braining right now.
Yeah. I mean, he just guessed that the Chalice was coming, and
that's easily worth going to 18 for. So Max goes 18. He's like, you know what I have. Are you going to play it? And then he's just like, I'm going to disrespect you.
Hey, you got to make him have it sometimes, right? Like, if he just held off and was trying to protect it too much, when you're in the tempo matchup,
you're going to 18 against Scapeshift. You have something.
Yeah, for sure. Or at least you want them to think that. That's where the gameplay comes.
That's how much respect he has for Chalice.
Oh, looks like we're going to shock in a Sacred Foundry.
All right, so now both players are 18. And,
probably get a Dryad down.
The specific number 18, more important for Mac because he knows that Scapeshift can take him out in one turn. That turn could even be next turn.
You know, his Dryad is just doing everything right now. It ramped him, it gives him all the colors he needs, and it can block this Ragavan.
Yeah, no, Dryad's an amazing card. Can he even afford to spend mana right now? He could just die next turn, for all he knows.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, looks like we got a Fire and Ice and one other card I can't
it's a Planeswalker.
out.
Looked like a Planeswalker.
Looks like a Teferi, yeah.
It could be Teferi or Ren 6, but it did look white. So he did keep in his Unholy Heat, probably for those Dryads, but as you can see, not very good right here. Might be getting a game 3. Okay, so it was
a Ren 6.
It was a Ren 6, but none of his lands were fetch lands, so that Ren 6 is not accelerating it.
I wonder if he's got one in his hand. It's going to be his land for turn, and then be able to get it back for next turn. Keep that land going. Oh, and an Archmage Charm.
Okay, so he did respect the fact that he might have just died last turn, and it paid off because he didn't want to have to deal with the longevity that Ren 6 will provide.
Yeah, for sure.
This is really tight. Both players are like not in an optimal set of cards for the early turn, but they're also staying in the game.
You're seeing the prices at Mulligan on Ozzy's side now. He's like a control deck, and he's really low on resources right now.
Anytime a Valakut deck mulligans, you feel it.
Yeah. It really sucks too now because what you're seeing is Mac is just, okay, I'll Expressive Iteration, I'll dig around, I'll see what I can do. Maybe I miss a land drop, but it looks like he's got an island in his hand. He's just gravy right now. I mean, that Ragavan's not really good. It can't like attack into this Dryad, but he can just sit back. He can just chill. He can accumulate resources because he's way ahead in the resource department over his opponent. And it looks like that's what's happening. Another Ragavan. Now, unfortunately, Ragavan is legendary, so he cannot come into play. But
that, ladies and gentlemen, is not what you call a non-bow because, it's just the same card. But it does not work well in multiples. So we're going to arc 1 damage, looks like.
Yep. Fire and Ice. Cast on the fire side.
Is this worth fighting over?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he's trying to psych him into the fact that he's going to replay the Ragavan.
I'm not a big fan of fighting over that anyway.
Yeah. But that blue does show Flusterstorm. It does show Spell Pierce.
Max down 15 at this point. His life total not super relevant. Ozzy still sitting at a comfortable 18.
Oh, there's a Prismatic Ending. This is maybe where you start to see the weakness of the red-blue decks, where they're a little bit threat-light, because now, I mean, that Murktide Regent could come out. It wouldn't be super huge.
It'd be, 6/6?
1, 2, 3. Yeah, it'd be a 6/6, right, exactly.
Yeah, Prismatic getting very, it answers everything but Murktide. And its flexibility for answering non-creature permanents, too, is just so strong.
It's amazing. You can float your mana in response to a Blood Moon. It comes into play, and you Prismatic in to get it.
Well, I mean, it's sorcery, but if you do have the Terra in play, yes, you can definitely do that. There is a little bit of stalling. I mean, the mulligan means he's not hitting his land drops, and our blue-red player here just doesn't have a lot of attacking power. But if he commits this, if he's worried to commit his Murktide and tap out because he knows he could just die if he has the right cards. But he found Delirium, so this will help him feel a little cushion.
Now what this does is opens him up. I believe there's a Blood Moon in Mac's hand, and getting that Dryad off the field opens him up to Blood Moon.
And he already found his double.
Oh, and he's just playing lane and passing. What is this card that Ozzy is sitting on?
He found double blue. If he has Blood Moon, this could be the game. Now, I'm not a judge, so I don't know my higher end technical rules, but there is a layering rule when it comes to certain things. So I'm not sure if Blood Moon comes down first and Dryad comes down second. I don't know how that works, but we'll let a judge figure that out. So he decides to go ahead and commit, feeling a little safer after getting rid of that Dryad because he's quite a ways away from a normal Valakut.
Oh, looks like
got
a 7 power.
Got a nice 2-turn clock with I'm sorry, no, max 1 at 13. But right now, if he can find one other threat, he could still potentially make it a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, I mean, Ozzy's sitting nice at 18. That Renin 6 isn't looking that impressive.
Oh, yeah, Renin 6 is...
I wonder what the card he's holding on to. I can't see. He's got the Renin 6, and there's one other. He's probably just going to get beat in the face with this Murktide.
Well, at the moment, it's a 3-turn clock, but all it takes is one more solid threat, like a Dragon's Rage Channeler. Although I don't think he has Delirium anymore. Yeah, he's still graveyard. He doesn't have Delirium.
All right, Ozzy down to 11, and there's the DRC.
Okay, so if
that looks like a Scapeshift in his hand, actually.
Yeah, that's no good.
It's either Scapeshift or Endurance. I'm not 100% sure. Okay.
Okay, here's best line. If he can make Delirium and dash a Ragavan, he can win next turn.
Renin 6.
Ozzy's only at 11 life. That could potentially be the game if he's not careful. Luckily, he does not have Delirium, so he can just take out the Dragon's Rage Channeler. I'm pretty sure that this Murktide region is just going to ignore the Renin 6 at this point.
All right, so if that card in his hand is a Scapeshift, he just has to not die here and draw a land. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen.
Unfortunately, he didn't draw any fetch lands. That Renin 6 can't be his land drop.
If he attacks it, it can't. But he has that fetch land in play, so he can Misty and then Renin 6 to get the Misty back.
Oh, so that's interesting, because if he has to commit to attacking Renin 6, that's a whole other turn.
Exactly. And then he could still just rip the land off the top and win. So
yeah, that is a Misty.
He's got to
Larry there.
Yeah, he's got to look for a counter spell here. That's what he's got to want to do. Plays his land. Let's see. Does Ozzy have any counter magic in his hand? It looks like he has a Flusterstorm.
He decides to ignore it, like I predicted, but that could be because he does have the counter and he feels confident that he can stop Scapeshift. Now, if this time, if he sees Bring to Light, if he lets Scapeshift happen and counters it, that could just be the game.
Nah.
Who needs Scapeshift?
He's trying to bait the counterspell here.
Mystical Dispute. Omnath is a blue card. You know, had he made his lane drop first, he would have been able to stop it, but that's not going to be enough. Only being at 4 life, that 7/7 Murktide is just going to get the job done. So that's going to have Mac advance to the semifinals. Congratulations to him.
Real simple strategy. Put big guys out, protect them.
Yeah, just play creatures, turn them sideways, counter your spells.
Yep.
Well, back here at the booth, Jay and I are going to take a quick break until we get to our semifinal match. We'll definitely be bringing that to you, so stay tuned for the next round.